gone in life. Like, I don't even feel the same.
The family of Ronald Silver II, the DPW worker who died of heat stroke on the job, sitting down for an interview for the first time.
Are you frustrated with the response from the city?
Absolutely.
Addressing the latest Inspector General reports detailing just how bad the situation within DPW is and how the department might have downplayed the situation. I'm going in depth on the ongoing problems within DPW and why some are saying it's a matter of life and death. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of Fox 45 News in Depth. I'm Mackenzie Frost. An emergency report and an independent investigation highlighting safety failures inside Baltimore City's Department of Public Works. This week, the Office of Inspector General releasing a new report revealing DPW did not report several employees who suffered heat-related illnesses on the job. DPW claims the department had determined those illnesses were not heat-related and took them off a third-party report before submitting them to the Inspector General. But the IG says that was not their decision to make.
We asked for any and all heat-related illnesses. It was never someone's opinion to determine whether information that specifically said, you know, fainting, heat, dehydration, syncope, all of those things are heat-related matters, yet they were removed by DPW from the list that we were to get.
Now, this is the fifth DPW report the Inspector General has released in recent months, with several of them detailing hazardous conditions and a toxic work culture inside the department. Just weeks after the Inspector General's third report, DPW worker Ronald Silver died on the job. His autopsy report confirmed he died from hyperthermia or overheating. The Silver family opposed a full autopsy on religious grounds, but the partial autopsy notes Silver did have asthma, though his last attack was 2 years before his death. He died on a city resident's doorstep, begging for water.
He had to struggle up my steps to ask for help. His coworker, his supervisors, like, no one else offered him help.
He deserved more than to die alone.
Now, late last week, Mayor Brandon Scott and DPW Director Khalil Zaid released the findings of an independent investigation into DPW. The city hired an outside law firm from Washington, D.C. to investigate the department's safety practices and work culture. The firm found DPW had no formal heat-related safety program, insufficient emergency protocols, inadequate heat safety training, and trucks on its lot without functioning air conditioning. Silver's family says City Hall left them in the dark during the investigation.
We attended the City Hall hearing, but we still left without answers. They gave promises, but no answers.
Now, for the first time, Ronald Silver's fiancee, Renee, and his son, Zoran, are opening up about who Ronnie was and their frustrations with the city's response. It's a tight-knit group, so more family members were there for this interview to show their support. The Silver family sitting down together and opening up for an emotional conversation about Ronald Silver II.
That was my fiance.
That was my father.
Renee Garrison and Zoran Silver, two people who loved Ronnie.
He was like my little protector of mine, or like we shared a lot of similarities.
He made sure that I was happy. I was happy in the summer. We were happy in the summer. It's just so empty without him. So it's just barely, the color is just gone in life. Like, I don't even feel the same.
The night of August 1st was like any other.
I try to prepare him for the night before by taking his clothes out and making sure, he's ready.
And August 2nd, Silver went to work as a solid waste worker for the Department of Public Works, a job the 36-year-old had been doing since October of last year.
The last time I seen him, it was like 1 in the morning. He was still up watching TV. He kind of shook the bed a little bit and smiled at me. And that was the last time I seen him. He got up for work.
August 2nd, Baltimore hit a record high of 100 degrees, and that afternoon, the heat index was approximately 109. Witnesses telling Fox 45 News Silver knocked on her door, desperate for help, while on his route in Baltimore's Barclay neighborhood.
I ran to the kitchen and got like a Stanley worth of water and brought it out. And I'm like, do you need help? Do you need help? Because at that time, like, Once I was coming back to the door, like I saw him fall.
The witness called 911 and started performing CPR.
I was just heartbroken that no one helped him sooner. You know, he had to struggle up my steps to ask for help. His coworker, his supervisors, like no one else offered him help.
Silver was taken to the hospital and Garrison got a call at work.
I just was a little confused how he couldn't speak and why he couldn't give the hospital his name.
Were you able to talk to him?
No, he was gone already.
For Silver's son, who's now a junior in high school, he was trying to reach other family members. And finally, he got the unimaginable news.
Ron, your father is gone. I'm like, I remember going through it, I was like, yo, you gotta be joking, you playing with me. And it took for me, like, really process that. I'm like, yo, my father's gone. I just lost my father.
The football player says he had just talked to his dad the night before, and the two had a plan to get his physical done so he could suit up for Polly's football team in the fall. Before hanging up the phone,
we had that little thing we do at the end of the phone, because I remember we do this all the time at the phone, because it'd be like this: I love you more, I love you the most. And then I remember he got the last one, because it was I love you, I was like, I love you. He said, I love you, you more.
In the months since Silver's death, an autopsy revealed he died from hyperthermia, or overheating. Before Silver died on the job, the city's inspector general released a report outlining unsafe working conditions for sanitation workers at DPW, including a lack of air conditioning, no water or Gatorade available to the workers, broken ice machines, and dilapidated restrooms. After Silver's death, the city hired an outside law firm to review DPW's practices, resulting in what the Silver family and so many others knew.
So how are you feeling now after the investigations have come out? We know that there wasn't any heat safety training protocols in place.
I'm extremely sad. It is just really, it's really unbelievable that things like this can occur in this time of day. Like, it's 2024, and my man died at work.
In the aftermath, since everything has come out, was there anything that you learned about how DPW operated that surprised you?
It's clear to us that it's a pattern that occurs within, that company. And no one else should die like that. It's like, when is it gonna stop? When is somebody gonna take accountability?
Are you frustrated with the response from the city?
Absolutely. What response? When you put the time in and really dedication, I'm talking early mornings, late nights. When you put that dedication in, you deserve some type of respect in return, like, at least for your life. Everybody's heart and soul is gone. Like, it's gone, and we're trying to build it again. I'm trying to help. Everybody's building each other. Ronald was an important person. He was beautiful. His smile, the way he did everything. He wasn't a slack. He helped around with everything, household chores, anything, laundry, he'll fold the clothes, anything. That man was an all-around man, all around. And for me to lose him for $18 is crazy. It's really outrageous. There's nothing else to describe it, just outrageous and unnecessary. He should still be here. He should be here.
The Silver family among many who have been impacted by issues inside DPW, including other employees and their families. Last month, we spoke with the wife of another DPW worker who died on the job 4 years, nearly to the day before Ronald Silver died. Donald Savoy was a Baltimore City trash collector for more than a decade, and his wife, Sherelle Booth Savoy, says he often told her about the harsh manual labor he had to endure. Sherelle also says her husband developed a heart condition that put his safety in question. She claims Savoy requested DPW take him off the back of the truck and move him to a less physically demanding position, but they refused. 3 years later, he died on the job. An autopsy report says he fell off the back of a garbage truck, hit a curb, noting head injuries as the cause of death and heart disease as a significant contributing factor. But Sherelle says she still has no idea how her husband died and says the city never contacted her.
He went to work, everything was fine. You get to work, and you did. I'm just confused. I don't know if they did an investigation. I don't know what to think because I wasn't told anything, and when I asked questions, nobody could tell me anything. I just want to know what happened to my husband.
We also sat down with Clarence Thomas, a DPW employee who spent nearly 10 years in the solid waste division. Now he's a laborer at a different lot, but he says he's experienced a toxic workplace culture firsthand over the entire decade he has worked for DPW.
It's been happening for years. It's been happening before I even came. I've heard horror stories from some of the men and women who got 20 plus years, 30 years, 40 years. You know, as far back as when they first started. They had to jump through hula hoops and do anything to try to make it or to survive.
Still to come, we're taking a closer look at the IG's months-long investigation into DPW. We sit down with Inspector General Isabel Cumming to talk about her findings. And as we head to break, let's take a look at some of today's top headlines.
Baltimore City voters will have to choose, voting yes or no on Question G. It's a charter amendment that will establish a city fund, allocating money to communities whose members were disproportionately affected by anti-cannabis laws before it was legalized. These funds will come from the state. Now, Senator Mary Washington, who represents Baltimore, is weighing in. In an email, she says if the voters approve the measure, the fund should be located in the Office of the Comptroller for Fiscal Transparency and Accountability. She says it should never become a separate nonprofit like the Baltimore Civic Fund or managed by an outside operative like the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund.
It's the tale of two mothers with an unfortunate similarity.
My initial reaction was it brought me right back to Brooklyn Day.
Both them and their daughters living outside Baltimore City, but both their daughters gunned down on the streets of Baltimore. Crystal Gonzalez.
Baltimore is a death trap.
She says her daughter's death is a direct result of the relentless violence of Baltimore.
As we mentioned, the Inspector General released an emergency report this week after discovering 10 missing cases on a list of employees with heat-related illnesses. The Department of Risk Management reported 26 cases in the last 3.5 years, but DPW reported just 16. Among those 10 missing cases, the IG says employees reported varying symptoms of heat illness, including dehydration, dizziness, and heat stroke. 6 of them fainted. 6 cases occurred when temperatures rose above 90 degrees and 2 during this summer's triple-digit heat wave. DPW claims it independently determined the cases were not heat-related, saying the department's goal was not to deceive, but only to provide accurate information. DPW Director Khalil Zaid said the omissions should not have happened and promised to provide data in full in the future. But the Inspector General says she is not planning to stop investigating the department.
Well, the Office of the Inspector General has been doing this investigation now since June, and we've had to issue a few reports because of situations that have risen such as this. We will be issuing, the Office of the Inspector General, a very large report because we've actually interviewed about 200 individuals, and that should be coming out in December.
Now, this comes following several other Inspector General reports highlighting hazardous working conditions and unsafe practices inside DPW. In her first report, Inspector General Isabel Mercedes Cumming detailed a lack of essential resources for employees at the Cherry Hill Yard, including water, ice, and air conditioning amid this summer's blistering heat wave. DPW promised to remedy the issue, but over the following weeks, the Inspector General released more reports after visiting 8 other DPW facilities. She said she was shocked to find what she called subhuman conditions, including broken AC units, ice machines, and water fountains, even revealing some employees did not have access to toilet paper unless they asked for it. Joining us now to talk about those reports, Baltimore City Inspector General Isabel Cumming. Thank you for joining us here, Isabel. I appreciate your time. Let's start with how all of this got started. You got a hotline tip, is that right?
That's exactly right. I received a hotline tip from a DPW worker who was very concerned because they weren't being provided water. They weren't being provided water and they weren't being provided Gatorade, and they believed that under OSHA requirements that was a requirement. So they reached out to my office. I had 2 of my agents go out and verify that there was a situation going on. So we wrote what was known as a referral to the DPW administration.
And from there, everything seemed to just snowball. You got more information and you started investigating, kind of peeling back the layers, right?
Yeah, what happened was we got the report back, but that very same day we received another desperate phone call telling us that, you know, there is no water. And I said, that can't be true. I just have a report in front of me that says, which I was not going to be issuing, that said that they did. And he said, come out, you'll see yourself. So we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we went out there, and that's when we realized that there was no water, there was no Gatorade, there was unbelievable heat. I was literally talking to a woman at 5:55 in the morning and she was sweating in her office. So then 4 hours later, the Office of the Inspector General issued its first emergency report describing these type of conditions. And that started this entire investigation that continues to this day.
Right, and we know that we can expect even more information to come out in the coming months as your probe continues. Throughout this entire process, has the city started to change policies and culture from what you've been able to learn and hear directly from DPW workers?
Not only learn, hear, but actually see. The facilities have, a lot of them have had fresh coats of paint. The gentleman that didn't have toilet paper, all of that has been installed. Water and Gatorade has been provided. Uniforms, different type of situation is changing. However, I will say my hotline is still definitely receiving a lot of situations, and we are trying to work with the administration on any type of thing that can move quickly, because I will say the new director wants to know. I mean, he changed all protocols so that everything goes to him so he can make the type of leadership changes that need to happen to really to change this because this situation did not happen this year. This situation happened over time. And I know that personally because we had an investigation in 2019 where we had a member of the Office of the Inspector General placed undercover in DPW for almost 3 months.
Wow.
And the situations has gotten much worse since that time.
Well, and I would also like to remind our viewers that we did invite the DPW director to participate in this program this evening. The agency declined, instead sent us a statement referring to this latest report from your office saying that they did not mean to omit any of the data points, that was a mistake and that it should not happen again. Moving forward, we just heard the emotional story from the Silver family. What do you want the people of Baltimore to know about this situation and about what they can do if they see anything that they believe needs to be investigated?
Absolutely call the Office of the Inspector General, which works for the people. I think it's so important for all of us to remember what an incredibly difficult job it is to actually pick up this trash. It's actually, I've been told it's the 7th most dangerous occupation in the United States, and for that reason was one of the reasons we, again, stopped our big investigation to issue the health insurance situation, the fact that we had 1/5 of our workforce that didn't even have health care. So that whole situation has been very much addressed. My office reached out to 135, sent text messages, and I believe that approximately like 80% now have health insurance, but they also have till November, I believe it's November 2nd when the healthcare system ends. So I mean, that's 200 people that didn't have health insurance for. Yeah. I mean, the changes are starting to happen, but we have a lot to do, and we've interviewed over 200 workers to try to present the most comprehensive report to the citizens, to the administration, to let them know what's really happening at DPW.
Well, Inspector General Isabel Cumming, thank you for joining us. We'll look forward to the report that we can expect in December, and we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, after the break, we're pressing city leaders after a DPW bureau head's departure, why the mayor says the department is moving in a different direction.
Here's tonight's primetime lineup on Fox 45. Brought to you locally by your McDonald's owner-operators.
Last week, we learned DPW Solid Waste Bureau head Craig Jeter no longer working in that role less than a month after former DPW Director Richard Luna stepped away. Fox 45 has asked DPW several times if Jeter is still on the city's payroll, but we have yet to get a response. We also reached out to the city's Human Resources Department. They told us Jeter is still a DPW employee, but we don't know his specific role. This week, we pressed Mayor Brandon Scott about Jeter's exit in light of the IG's latest report.
Will there be any sort of accountability for the people who did omit those data points in the information given to the IG?
Well, I think, again, like the report speaks for itself, right? The folks thought they were providing the best information, but as the director said, and I'll reiterate again, they should not have omitted that information, right? And we have to make sure that things have been put in the right place. We've had those discussions internally, and we'll move forward as we continue to rework the entire culture and shape of DPW. About direct accountability for that particular action, that's something that the director and his team will discuss internally. We obviously can't talk about personnel issues like that, but where appropriate, action can and will be taken.
Is that why Craig Jeter no longer is serving as the solid waste head?
Craig Jeter is not here because the director and the team felt that we needed to move in a different direction to get the agency moving in the right direction. And I think that's a clear message to everyone that we have to have the best and brightest working for the city of Baltimore and working to improve that agency. And that's what the team that he's building as a director who is charged by me with getting the agency where it needs to be.
Is he a city employee still?
You know, I can't talk about personnel things, but we have moved on and moved forward in DPW.
That's all for this week's edition of Fox 45 News In Depth. I'm Mackenzie Frost.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.